Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
All right, welcome into this edition of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game. It is Monday, October 16th. It is another game week as the Pirates get set to host the Charlotte 49ers. It'll be homecoming. It'll be two teams in desperate need of a victory. We'll be joined shortly by Kevin Monroe, football color analyst on the Pirate Sports Network. You can hear him every Saturday for the home games, 94.3 The Game, 107.9 WNCT as well, and we'll get his take on how the season has started to this point. We will also, later in the program, talk to Kaysen Romeli. He is a Hoist the Colors basketball analyst on our website, does a great job covering the team, diving into the opponents, all that sort of stuff. We'll talk to Kaysen for the second time this preseason. We were both inside Minges Coliseum for the scrimmage this past weekend prior to the SMU game. Saw a lot of good things, saw some things that need tightening up, so we'll get that report from Kaysen and myself. Also got a couple thoughts on the baseball scrimmage versus Clemson. Over the weekend, I was out there on Sunday, saw some of that, so I'll run through some of that on the show in the next hour. All right, we are joined now by Kevin Monroe on the phone line. Kevin, first off, welcome into the program. How are things going with you?
Things are going well, Igo. Good to have. Thank you for having me, and excited to be on the show.
Absolutely. Well, Pirates have a chance to get back in the win column this Saturday. We'll talk a little bit about the Charlotte game, how important it is, but let's talk about the season to this point. Kevin, you've seen a lot of these games firsthand. Not to start, ECU fans, former players like yourself, want 1-5. How would you best sum up, if you can, the first 6 games of this season from your perspective?
Well, it's been disappointing, obviously. No Pirate fan thought that we'd be 1-5 through 6 games. My honest opinion is if Holton Ahlers had miraculously had a 7th year, or how many ever years he had, if he could have come back this year, I think the Pirates would be at worst 3-3. I don't think the team is as bad as people think it is. I think it starts with the quarterback position. And that's not a knock on Alex or Mason. It's just neither one of them is where Holton was when he left. And so experience-wise, decision-making ability, the ability to make all the throws, confidence, they don't possess those things right now in their careers. And listen, we all had things to say about Holton when he was here too. So I'm not painting him up to be this, the great quarterback savior. I'm just saying all things being equal, I think the Pirates would probably be 3-3. So I think it's getting the offense going, completing some passes downfield, then opens up the running game, makes it easier for Rajai Harris and some of the other guys to run the football. It makes the offensive line more confident that they don't have to hold blocks so long. All these things would be better off with a more experienced quarterback making the plays. Now, there's issues across the board. There's issues on the offensive line. There's too many drops from the wide receivers. There's been some misassignments in the secondary where passes have been getting caught. So there's things happening that need fixing. But I think it starts with the quarterback position.
Visiting with Kevin Monroe, ECU football analyst on the Pirate Sports Network on game days, calling the games besides Jim Szoke this season. Well, let's talk about that a little bit, Kevin. How different has that been? Obviously, we miss Jeff Charles tremendously. How have you enjoyed getting to work with Jim? Seems like an awesome guy, and learning somebody new in the booth.
It's a very different experience. I enjoy working with Jim. He is not Jeff. He doesn't have the same personality. He didn't call the games the same way. So it's a whole new experience. I mean, you can if you were sitting anywhere near the booth when Jeff started talking, you heard him, right? He had this exuberance about him. He got excited about things. He just was a loud talker in general. That's not Jim. Jim is mild-mannered. He's almost quiet to a point, and he's calm, and he's really, really good. He's just different from Jeff. And so getting to be in the booth with him for the few games that I've done so far, just kind of learning how he acts, learning the things that he does, has been a different experience for me. And he wants me to talk more. I know the program better. I've been around it longer. I know the coaches. I know the players, where he's still learning all these things. So he said, when it's time to fill air, you help fill the air. You don't have to expect me to do all the talking, whereas Jeff did the majority of the talking when it came to all that kind of stuff, and I just gave feedback on what I saw on the field. And so it's a different way of calling a game for me, but it's been pretty good so far.
Visit with Kevin Monroe, and we mentioned the 1-5 start, Kevin, the quarterback issues. And look, the offense, I think now they're averaging 11.4 offensive points per game against FBS competition if you take away the defensive touchdowns at App. And we talked about the quarterback position, the issues there thus far. Some fans say, hey, it's year 5. Maybe this they shouldn't be in this position. But kind of what's your take on that? Is it a valid expression of, kind of frustration with the offensive whereabouts, or is it just when you have a quarterback transition like ECU has, you're going to have some natural fall off?
Well, I would say two things. One, when you have a guy like Holton Anderson that's been here for so long, it's hard to recruit another quarterback. 2, you have a backup in Mason Garcia that was a 3-star, some say a 4-star quarterback waiting in the wings. That makes it even harder to recruit any more quarterbacks. And so I think had Mason Garcia panned out the way they thought he would, not to say that he won't later this year, next year, what have you, but so far he's not been the quarterback that they thought they were getting after Holton Anderson. So that has put the program in a bit of a tailspin, I think, because you then have to go to your next guy in line who is a serviceable player, but is not the guy to go out and win you games. He's the guy to go out and try to keep you in games, hopefully not lose you games. And so should the Pirates be in a better situation, under Coach Houston at this point in his tenure? Sure. But it's hard to blame him for recruiting a guy or being ready to play a guy like Mason Garcia because, he should be the guy. He's got all the tools. He's got the big, strong arm. He's got the legs. He's got the size. He's got all the tools where he could be a big-time FBS quarterback. They just haven't materialized in games yet. And so I think that has set the Pirates back some. Now that you know that, now that you know that maybe he isn't the future, that maybe he can't get it done. And again, I'm still leaving out hope that he can. He looked better this past week against SMU. You can recruit based on that. You can get Jeter ready. You can get the next guy that you recruit ready, and you won't have to waste any more years on getting your current guys ready to go.
We've seen some young talent emerge offensively. Obviously Chase Sowell has done a great job the last few games. Really, first off, catching the ball, but making plays after the catch. Unfortunately, Javius Bond went down in the opening kickoff. We'll try and get an update from him later this week, from Coach Houston on him later this week and his status. But, you do have some skilled players that are showing some talent. So outside of the quarterback position, are there signs of life there that you're seeing, Kevin?
Yeah, I think so. I think, Sowell is one that you mentioned that's come on strong. I think Jari Patterson is going to be a pretty good player. Josiah Hatfield, he's a senior, but he's playing, better than he's played in the past in terms of at the receiver position. In the past, we've been used to him being more of a return guy, more of a jet sweep kind of guy, more of just a speed guy, but he's now getting open and having his opportunity to catch the football. I still think Jalen Johnson could be and should be your receiver number 1. He just hasn't played up to that level yet. We know what he can do. We've seen what he's done in the past. We've seen it in spurts this season. But for me, he's dropped too many passes so far this year, so that's been kind of his Achilles heel. Javius Bond at the running back position and catching the ball out of the backfield has been great. Camaro Edmonds, the transfer from Carolina, has looked really, really good. Marlon Gunn hasn't been as good this season as he's been in the past, but, he's been banged up a little bit, and he looks better against SMU. So I fully expect him to be playing well. Also, Brock Spalding has been in and played quite a bit. He kind of gives you some flashbacks to some of the receivers in the past that we've had, kind of little scat guys that run around and catch passes and tough and block and do things like that. So, yeah, I've seen some guys on the offensive side of the ball, specifically in the skill position, that lean towards us being able to be successful when the quarterbacks get them the football, they make the catches. When they're handed the ball, we're making the blocks, they make the runs. I think we could be successful with what we have. It's just going to take that quarterback position being more consistent to get all those things moving in motion.
And defensively, Kevin, ECU has played winning football for the most part this year. They have given up some big plays, which part of that is college football these days, but 31st in total defense through 6 games. That's a pretty solid number. What have you made of that side of the ball right now?
I'm happy with that side of the ball. I think, if you look back to the App State game, they gave up a big run late to that really good running back. Same thing in the Marshall game. They gave up a big run late. But outside of those 2 huge runs, they shut down those two big-time running backs with no issue. So the front seven has played really, really well. The linebackers that were brand new, the D-line that were all filling in, I felt like they've all kind of stepped up and played pretty well. Even in the Michigan game, that quarterback was so good on the run. I felt like we flushed him out of the pocket several times. But he was so good on the run, he still made plays downfield. But the run game, we kept that in contained. So I think, the front seven specifically has played really, really well. I think the secondary has played good at times. And if you saw, what Ravel did this past week, he looked great, pass breakup after pass breakup. So you can tell he's getting more confident. Jackson, the same thing, being a young guy playing, he's playing well. I think they are getting better. They've had some missed assignments early on in the season, gave up, the double pass, I think, in the Marshall game, and, some plays here and there that, you'd like to have back. But I'll take a missed assignment over guys just getting beat one-on-one. I line up my best guy, you line up your best guy, and let's go at it. I'll take the missed assignment over that. So I know that I got guys that can get it done when they're lined up correctly. So defensive side of the ball, I'm perfectly fine with. I think if the offense could catch up, this would be a winning football team.
Kevin, you're a former cornerback at East Carolina. What do you make of the 17-year-old Antoine Jackson out there, probably the youngest guy on the team? He's, made some mistakes, has also had some highlights. How do you think he's handled himself thus far at corner?
Yeah, at 17, I was still in high school, and even at 18, when I was a true freshman at East Carolina, I wasn't ready to play big-time college football. And so I'm amazed by him, his confidence, his swagger, his ability to be in the right spots and make plays, get his hands on footballs. He had the pick six in the App game. So I'm impressed by him immensely. I think he's got nothing but upside. I think he'll be a good player here for years to come. He tackles as well, which is something you don't always get with corners. And so, yeah, it's impressive. It took a redshirt year for me to feel comfortable getting out there and playing against the big boys, but he's been forced into that early, and so far it seems like he's able to handle it.
And Siobhan on the other side, Siobhan Revel, it's like, they brought him as a junior college kid last year, Kevin. I think they liked him, but they kind of wanted to develop him, like you said, get him ready mentally, physically. He seems to have made that leap. He's one of the bigger corners I've seen here in some time. So, do you think if he continues progressing, he can be a guy that, maybe one day is an all-conference caliber corner?
Yeah, no doubt. I think he could be that guy. He's got that length. He's got the speed. He's not afraid to put his hands on receivers, and so he cuts down on the separation because of that, using his hands and using his feet and getting downfield. He doesn't panic, at least thus far. He hasn't panicked when the ball's in the air. So many things so many times you see corners panic when the ball's in the air, and they'll grab a receiver, they'll shove the receiver, they do something to get that PI or that defensive holding call that they don't have to do. They're in good position. All they have to do is go make a play on the ball. And we saw on Saturday he did that time after time after time. So, that's a skill you can't teach. Just to be calm, be patient, and not make your move until the ball is there. He seems to have mastered that, at least so far. So I'm impressed with him. I think I spoke to the SMU color analyst after the game, and he was like, man, Ravel played out of his mind, didn't he? And I was like, yeah, he's coming along. So I think people are noticing, and he's getting that confidence that you need for that position.
We're visiting with Kevin Monroe. Kevin, Charlotte comes to town this weekend, homecoming game. Two teams that have struggled. Look, offensively, they rank near the bottom of the country in points and yards, and so it projects to be a lower scoring game. And really, I don't know if anything's a must-win at this point. ECU's 1-5. They're realistically probably not going to a bowl game, but it feels like a game ECU does not definitely want to lose. This is a game at home you should win. So what do you make of this game? How important is it for ECU to get some momentum?
Yeah, home attendance has kind of been creeping down and down and down, and so this is one of those games where, the crowd probably shows up because it's a Saturday in Greenville, it's at midday, it's not one that's hard to get to, and they're playing a team that we should win. And so if you want to get to potentially your last home win of the year, hopefully not, but if you want to get to the game that you feel like you can win, then this is a game to come to. And so I think there'll be good attendance. Coach Biff is struggling right now. I saw his last press conference. He doesn't know what's going on with that team. I would say that I think East Carolina's defense is probably a little bit better than Charlotte's defense. So considering that both offenses are struggling, that would lean towards East Carolina being the more successful team on Saturday. I haven't seen a whole lot from Charlotte just yet, but just knowing who they've played and what the outcomes have been, I would think this would be in East Carolina's advantage. And This is certainly a must-win. Not so much just to try to get bowl eligible, but just to win back the confidence of your players. Losing is something that's contagious, and if you lose specifically to teams that you should beat or teams that you consider to be quote unquote a bad team, that's just going to really tear a hole in your program, and that's when you start to see people the offense go against the defense and fracture the team and people talking about leaving and things like that. The coaches can keep a handle on that when they're able to win football games, and so this would be one of those games they need to win at home.
Lastly for you, Kevin Monroe, when you look at college football right now, NIL and obviously conference realignment, all that stuff, transfer portal, it changes daily. It's changed a lot since you played, obviously. And, what's kind of your take as a former player and analyst on where ECU stands right now? I mean, I see it every day, and I try to stress it, the need to invest in NIL for Pirate Nation to retain talent, to continue to have the talent it takes to compete for championships, which is, I think, what people want this program to be. Like, when you look at that side of things, do you feel like people are maybe starting to get an understanding of it? And maybe some of the struggles this year leads to, more people realizing kind of what is needed to keep ECU competitive on a national and regional landscape.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It's when you see the 1-5 start, you start to realize, we could use some better players. And how do you get those better players? Unfortunately, it's anteing up. I mean, you wouldn't think that. It just sounds kind of crazy. But when you have the guys from the Power 5 schools, the guys that go to the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Clemsons and the Auburns and all these places, and it doesn't pan out for them, and they hit the portal, where are they going? They're either going closer to home or they're going to the highest bidder. And so I'm not saying we're going to get into a bidding war with people and win, but at least we could get a situation where we can get some good guys that we can afford to give a little bit of NIL money to, that are willing to come here and play and make the program better instantly. I can tell you two things that are definitely going to happen at the end of the season. We're going to have some guys leave the transfer portal. The guys either aren't playing, aren't happy with our win percentage. Maybe the coaches told them things that they thought were going to be different than what they are. Whatever the reason is, several guys are going to leave. And then several guys are going to come in. And so how do we get those guys? What caliber of players are they going to be? Where do they come from? That's all going to depend on what we have to offer here as a program. And if it's NIL money, facilities, playing on TV, what have you, we have to put our best foot forward, and that's going to start with NIL. And so, it obviously wasn't around when I played. I don't know what that would have been like to experience that, but it's here now. I was able to go and speak to the Oklahoma football team as a part of my normal job, just talking to them about financial literacy and things like that. And of the 85 guys on scholarship at Oklahoma, they all make a minimum of $26,000 a year through their NIL collective. That's a minimum. The top 10% of guys make $500,000 and above, and there's guys in between the $26,000 and the 500,000 guys are making a couple $100,000 a year. I mean, it's just insane, and that's just that program. Now, obviously, Texas and Oklahoma are just different deals because they have the oil money out there and that kind of thing. But it's heading in that direction where the highest bidder wins, and so East Carolina's got to at least be in that conversation.
Great thoughts, Kevin Monroe. Kevin, we appreciate the time on today's program. We'll have you back on before the end of the season, but thanks for the insight as always.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
He's Kevin Monroe. Check him out on the ECU broadcast, 94.3 The Game this Saturday, also 107.9 WNCT. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll switch gears. We'll talk some Pirate basketball. Hoist the Colors basketball analyst Casey Ramaley is in the house. We were inside Minji's Coliseum this past week. We'll talk about what we saw at the scrimmage, the open scrimmage for Mike Schwartz's second-year team. We'll discuss that on the other side and more. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
2024s are moving in, which means 2023s are moving out. It's the model year-end move-out at Greenville Toyota. Shop new RAV4s, $289 a month. Even save on the all-new Camry, also $289 a month. At Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves you money.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked to order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you farm to fork beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to fork beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
At GoEco, we don't just supply the office space. We create solutions for any environment. Our state-of-the-art commercial-grade video display is perfect for watching film with the team. From film study to the field, elevate your game with GoEco.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
The 2024s are here and the 2023s need to move. It's the model year-end move out at Greenville Toyota. Move in on new Tacomas just $299 a month. Plus, get the Greenville Advantage at Greenville Toyota, where our volume saves
The Pirates play here. This is Hoist the Colors Radio with Stephen Igo.
Yes! That was so good!
On 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back into the show on this Monday, October 16th. We are 3 weeks away from East Carolina basketball tipping off. The men will open at home against Ferrum College, and the ladies will open at Elon that same Monday. But we got Kason Romeli, who is our Hoist the Colors analyst, senior at East Carolina University. He's back for his second appearance on the Hoist the Colors radio show. He's our frequent podcast guest as well. Kason, have you started any homework on Ferrum College yet?
I have not started my homework on Ferrum College, and I don't think I will ever start on Ferrum College, but we'll see.
Hopefully the Pirates can get that one done. By the way, John Moody on YouTube, on Facebook, I should say, he's got our game announcement for ECU UTSA. That game will be kicking off in a few weeks. I believe October 28th is the date for that. In San Antonio, that'll be a 3:30 Eastern kickoff on ESPN+, so a midday afternoon road game for the Pirates as they take on the Roadrunners on the road. So that coming out just recently. Thanks, John, for the message there. So good stuff as the Pirates head to San Antonio after hosting Charlotte. We'll get more into football a little bit later. So Kason and I were inside Minges Coliseum for the scrimmage on Thursday prior to the SMU football game. And we saw some good things, saw some things that, the Pirates still got to clean up heading into Mike Schwartz's second year. Pretty typical scrimmage. But what were kind of your overall thoughts on what we saw?
Well, first of all, I thought it was good to be back in there. It was good to see the new LED lights and the new seating behind the bench. And but I just think that it was sloppy, but that's what comes with it at this point of the year. And I think what stood out to me was, honestly, I think that Caleb LeCount looked much, much better than he has. He looked like he gained some weight, gained some muscle. He looked stronger. And also, I mean, I've been on the Cam Hayes train, you know that. And I think he looked great. He scored at will when he wanted to. And I think he was a real bright spot. And look, I mean, when he was out there, they played well. And I hope we get to see that this season, but I don't know if we will.
Yeah, we got media day coming up Thursday. We'll ask Coach Schwartz if there's an update on Cam Hayes' waiver status. I lean towards him not being eligible until he's world eligible. And I think the coaching staff is looking that way too. But so when I was at the scrimmage, he was taking a lot of shots, not hitting a lot. You said he kind of got hot towards the end. So is he kind of a streaky shooter?
Yes, when Cam Hayes is on, he's on. When he's off, he's off. And also, just like I told you when we were sitting there, there weren't many drives to the basket. But when Cam was on the floor, he was the only guard that was driving the basket. And even when he was driving, he was kicking out. And that is when players like Debunje was hitting shots. He was hitting great shots, which was much needed because this team lacks three-point shooting. And if this team can learn to score, because this team's not going to outscore teams. That's just all there's to it. But I think that if they can learn to knock down the three ball, this team can take a big step forward.
They just got to hit those 2 or 3 key shots that last year they missed in those key moments when it's a 3 to 4 point game in crunch time. Can they make that corner three? Debunje, he made, 3 or 4 3-pointers and looks good. We know he has the stroke to do it, and I thought he looked like one of the most improved players. I did think Caleb LeCount looked good as well. But, man, we talked about it this offseason on our player preview podcast. Quentin, he's got as much upside as anybody. Look at him, man. He's built like a tank. He can jump. I think a lot of it is mental, and I think if he's confident, he can really take a step forward. So he's a big key this year.
Yeah, and we've been harping on it for the past year. I mean, the 3 spot is open for anybody. It's for Corey, it's for Quentin, it's for Ben. And if one of them can take advantage of that, and I think Quentin should, because if you just look at Quentin, you're like, holy cow. He's a phenomenal athlete, jump out the gym, but it's just, can he put it all together? And just like last year, there were some points also kind of pivoting here. It's like, especially with Jaden Walker and Quentin, there are some times where they'll get it on the wing, and the defender's running up to him to close out, and they kind of hesitate, and it gives the defender time to set his feet and let him decide what he wants to do. And that happened multiple times, especially with Jaden Walker. Even though, yes, he's playing point guard, distributing, but I think if Jaden Walker and Quentin become threats on the wing and score first, have a scoring first mentality, they can both take a huge leap forward.
Chase,
so you mentioned that. I was going to say, Kason, you mentioned that this team's not going to outscore a lot of teams. Did you feel like the defense was on par from what they were last year at the scrimmage on Saturday?
Yes, I feel like the defense, was better, but I don't really know, though, for sure, because there weren't many drives to the basket, so I don't really know what's going to happen when we face teams that are very aggressive on dribble drives. But I definitely think that the perimeter defense, there were a whole lot of tips in this game, which I know Mark Adams puts a lot of emphasis on. And I would say it's improved, but I still want to see us play a team where it's a lot of dribble drive and kick out and see how we close out.
And I think some of that was by design because they know, too, there wasn't a whole lot of plays being ran because, heck, I'm there taking video of it and posted 5 minutes on YouTube. So they're not going to run a bunch of specific plays. But I thought it was interesting. We did notice pre-game, Mark Adams led a defensive drill.
Yes, so that was fun. They went through a 10-minute segment of show where it's 4 people on the perimeter and 4 defenders, and they touch and they go follow the ball, and Mark Adams led that. And also on that, walking in, seeing him in ECU, I kind of sat back and was like, this is 2023. What in the world are we doing?
It is pretty awesome, though. I mean, and Riley Davis, great assistant coach as well. So it's a great coaching staff, man. It really is. And just very excited for the season. Chase Graham on YouTube says, yes, sir, free Cam Hayes. Is he a big Cam Hayes guy?
Yes, he's a big Cam Hayes guy. He is Cam Hayes' best friend / old roommate. So
there you go.
I agree. Free Cam Hayes. And also Chase Graham, he has another year of eligibility left. So if he wants to come here at ECU, he can use it right now.
There you go. Chase Graham, come on down. I thought one of the other guys that I didn't know what to expect as far as the scrimmage, I don't even know how to say his name, Logan.
I don't know how to say his last name, but he looked smooth out there.
Freshman from France who just appeared on the roster one day. I don't even know how much English he speaks, but we mentioned if Hayes is ineligible, Bobby Pettiford, we should say, did not practice because he's got a hamstring issue. If he's banged up and that continues, you're going to have LeCount, you're going to have Walker who can run the point. And this Logan kid, he needs to add some weight, but as a freshman, I thought he looked comfortable running the point.
Is he on scholarship?
I don't think so because they got 13 scholarship guys, accounted for. So there's got to be some sort of, walk-on or financial aid status there.
Because he was the first sub. Logan was the first sub, and he was on purple, if I'm not mistaken. Was he in for Jaden for that point?
Yeah, he was the second one.
Yeah.
He was the first person off the bench, the second point guard for purple.
So purple, even though we got in on the side about how the teams, but towards the end they like switched up the teams a bunch. So, but the purple team to start off were the starters, and Jaden was the point guard. And as soon as Jaden got off, Logan came in. Yes, there were a couple hiccups, and Ezra and Brandon got frustrated a little bit. I could see, but he had a couple passes that were like, wow,
impressive,
at a freshman level, he saw that. I was like, wow, he's very smooth. He's not very big. He's not too tall, but I definitely think that if Cam Hayes can't play and something's wrong with Bobby, that he could come in and
play some
maintain.
Minutes. Yes, and I'm going to ask Coach Schwartz Thursday. We'll talk to Coach Schwartz on media day for the press conference. We will also talk to some players. I'm just going to ask Coach Schwartz, like, where did this guy come from, man? Because, like, third player from France on the roster, joining Ben Baela and Quentin DeBunje. You know, we know Coach Schwartz has some ties over there. So we also got a comment from KJ Keats, who says, no shot ECU finishes top 3 in the conference. Interesting notes there, or interesting comment there. We'll have to come back to your notes as we look at the American later. Chuck wants to know, how did Ezra Osar look? We've been calling him Osar. I asked Ezra when we had him on the show in the spring. He said it's Osar. So Ezra Osar. How did Ezra look in your opinion?
I mean, he didn't look the best, but also he didn't get the ball.
Yeah, I mean, like, they didn't. To me, RJ and Ezra, and maybe this was by design, they didn't really like even try to score.
Yeah,
which is not how it's going to be in the regular season. So maybe they're trying to work on other things.
Yeah, and I'll say in scrimmages like this, Schwartz and the staff, they already have it. They kind of know what they got.
They know what Ezra and RJ
can do. I mean, they don't need to go out there and prove and score 20.
And we did see Ezra shoot. When I was there, I had to leave for the game. He shot 1-3. He missed it off the back iron. He did miss a free throw. Did he take any other jump shots that you saw?
He did not take any other jump shots, no.
Okay. So that's kind of the thing we're watching with Ezra. We know he can drive. We know he's going to get fouled. How's he going to be shooting the ball this year with the repaired shoulder? So we keep an eye on that. You know, RJ looked like RJ otherwise, running around, doing his thing, rebounding the ball. Brandon Johnson was rebounding the ball like crazy, which is what he does. And he hit like a little fadeaway contested shot on the baseline. I thought Brandon looked good. Yeah,
Brandon looked better to me. He was one of the best players out there, but also Brandon's just going to do what Brandon does. His improvement of his jump shot since he's been at ECU has been just incredible, because he hit that fadeaway in the corner, and I remember when he hit it, I was like, what?
That was the shot we didn't see a lot last year.
Yeah, we did not see that shot. And then, but also just like you said with Ezra, if Ezra can get that jump shot in, he'll be much better. And I remember when he shot it, I was like, oh, well, there's the first one.
Right.
So I'm looking to see if he continues that this year.
Yeah, I mean, pull the trigger early on. You should have some space to work with, maybe on the scoreboard with some of the non-conference opponents. So we'll see how things go there moving forward. We saw Sear Malonga, the freshman. He came in off the bench to play for Purple as well. We saw Sear at the 5, Ezra at the 4, and BJ Brandon Johnson at the 3. That's kind of the same lineup we saw in the conference tournament last year with Luigi DeBow at the 5. And so, to me, Sear, younger, has to mature, but that 3-4-5 combination, I think, would be very tough to score against. How much do you think we'll see that?
I think it depends on matchups. Mm-hmm. I think that versus a team like Florida Atlantic with big guards, and they also have that big 7-footer, I think with a team like that, you'll see it. But I think that early in the non-conference, you're not going to see that lineup much. But I also think you also could, because it is non-conference. So let's kind of get Callum and his feet a little wet. So, I mean, they both look like freshmen out there, but that's as expected. And same with Takore. He looked a little timid. He looked a little like, what's the word, like?
I wrote in my report, I thought he looked unsure of himself.
Yes, he looked unsure of himself. He was very cautious. I think he was trying to make sure he didn't mess up. Right. That's exactly what it looked like.
And for a guy like that, whose game is mostly built off athleticism, when you're out there thinking, you can't look. Obviously, if you're unsure of yourself, you're not going to look as good as you are. But freshmen, that's the thing. It's not just showing up and just, hey, here's the ball, go score. They do so much. I mean, so many things defensively, especially under this staff, under this regime. if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get pulled in a heartbeat. We saw it last year with Coach Schwartz. I think it'll be even more of an emphasis with Coach Adams in the fold. So, look, I think Takori's going to be a great player in time. Same with Sear and Callum, but those guys, they got to learn. And the good thing is ECU right now can afford to let them learn and let them develop. John Moody says, are the secret scrimmages still a thing? If so, any insight on who we may play? The secret scrimmages are still a thing, John. I don't know at this point who ECU is scrimmaging. Last year, they scrimmaged a couple of teams, and so I know they'll do the same this year. It's just a matter of whether or not we find out. Under Dooley, it was always NC State because of his relationship with Kevin Keats.
Yes, but that is no more.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen this year. NC State not wanting to come to Greenville right now.
Isn't that right, KJ?
KJ Keats tuned in. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will. We've got some NC State basketball players joining the chat, which is, hey, this is good, man. We got a lot of viewership here for this interview with Kason Romeli. We'll come back. We'll talk about the American. ECU picked to finish preseason number 5?
5, yes.
Number 5 in the preseason. The women picked to finish second. We'll talk about that, where ECU stacks up in the American, maybe get some more scrimmage thoughts, answer your questions as well. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers in Greenville, plus the all-new Tiebreakers in Winterville, do real burgers better than anybody. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, real burgers at its best.
Everybody loves burgers.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Air Service is back at Pitt Greenville Airport, offering safe, clean facilities and flights from American Airlines. That means the short commute, quicker lines, and better prices that get you where you're going fast and easy. See it for yourself. There's great things inside at Pitt Greenville Airport.
Hey, grab me one too.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Okay, welcome back into the program on this Monday, October 16th edition of the show. We talked some football with former ECU corner Kev Monroe earlier today. Now we're talking Pirate Hoops with Hoist the Colors basketball analyst Kason Romeli. Kason's got some childhood friends that also play for the NC State basketball team, and they're hopping in the chat. And so, first off, I got to point out East Carolina 1-0 against NC State in NC State's last trip to Greenville, which I believe came in 2008. NC State has not returned since. That was a raucous atmosphere. NC State is coming off a very good season, 23-11, made it to the NCAA tournament. What are your thoughts on the Wolfpack this year as we have some Wolfpack players watching you right now?
Well, I think a major emphasis on this team is how far can Casey Morcell take this NC State basketball team? They're going to be on his back. So how Casey Morcell goes, the team goes. That's all I have to say about that.
No pressure?
No pressure on Casey Morcell. It's just how it's just if Casey wants to wake up and be great, NC State will be great.
Casey says we need Cam Hayes. I guess he's speaking of ECU needs Cam Hayes,
yes,
as
ECU.
we're still waiting the ruling of his waiver. And Cam Hayes, of course, used to play at NC State as well. And Chase says, let's not talk about secret scrimmages. Yeah, those aren't a thing, right?
No, I've never heard of secret scrimmages. I've never heard of them in my life.
It's the worst kept secret in college basketball. All right, let's talk about the American, and ECU picked to finish fifth in the league. What did you think? We did breakdowns, and you did a lot of in-depth research on kind of where these teams stood in the offseason, and we did it on the podcast. And basically our consensus was, Casey, that it's FAU and Memphis, and then kind of like a jumble of maybe like 5-6 teams, and then kind of the bottom of the league. We thought ECU would be in that middle, and that's exactly where they were picked. So what did you kind of make of the preseason poll?
I thought the preseason poll was a little shocking, not for ECUs, but like a team like Rice, I think I'm very high on, which I think they're going to be better. But I also think that, just like you said, it's FAU, Memphis, drop off, and then Tulane. And then I would go like a little slight drop off. Then you got teams like North Texas, ECU, Rice, and teams like that there. But I mean, I would say 3, 4, and 5 are up for the taking. I would say right. Tulane's kind of reaching for that 3 right now. But there's 2 favorites, and let's be honest, that's how it has been in the American the past couple of years with Houston or when Cincinnati was good. But it's mainly been Houston at the top, and I think that's going to be the same with FAU this year.
Yeah, I think FAU preseason number 10. By the way, the ESPN preseason poll or the AP Top 25 came out. I'm losing it at this comment section. I got to take it off the screen for a second on YouTube. FAU preseason number 10 coming off the Final Four appearance. They basically have their whole starting lineup back. ECU gets to open at FAU in Boca Raton, so tough matchup there. Do you feel like FAU should be higher in the preseason poll, or is 10 fair? And should Memphis be in the preseason top 25, which they are not?
I think that Memphis is a better team than FAU coming into this year. I think FAU is a good team. Don't get me wrong.
Talent-wise, Memphis probably has more talent.
I think Memphis has more talent, yes. And also speaking of yes,
yeah.
And also speaking of polls, the AP poll just came out, and FAU is number 10, and Memphis is not ranked at the moment, which I am not shocked because they literally have. I think they returned one scholarship guy, so they have 12 new scholarship guys. So I mean, no one really knows what they have, but they got Caleb Mills. They got Javon Quinterly, and they got a couple other big-time transfers. But it's going to be FAU, Memphis, and then the rest.
Do we know if what's the dude who's applying for like the 8th year of eligibility?
DeAndre Williams. They actually sent in his second waiver.
Oh my gosh!
Last Thursday, I think, because I sent it to you and was like, "Look at this."
If DeAndre Williams gets an extra year and they don't grant Cam Hayes immediate eligibility,
yes, DeAndre Williams will be 28, I think, next spring. So playing college basketball.
I mean, we see Tez Walker scoring 3 touchdowns for UNC football. Like, Cam Hayes, got to make him eligible. I mean, he's back in his home state. What are we doing in NCAA? Let's do it. We talked about it. I do think Tulane being 3rd is fair. I mean, I know they lost Cook back to LSU, speaking of portal, but returning Cross and the guard Forbes, I mean, they're going to be able to score. Yes. It's just with them, like every game is 88-85. They don't play any defense, so – what does the ECU have to do this year, Casey, to take that next step to realistically like become the 3rd or 4th best team in this league? Because you look at Ken Pom, you look at Torvik. Right now, they have ECU behind Tulane, UAB, North Texas, and even SMU. So they're not as high on ECU according to the analytics and what's returning to some of these other teams, what do you think ECU has to do to get into that really upper echelon of the league?
I think they're going to have to play good, sound defense. I think that's why they brought in Mark Adams to play good defense because, I mean, it's been seen that we're not going to be able to outscore teams. It's just all there's to it. I mean, we don't have the scoring power. We don't have the shooting. So we're just going to have to just play great defense and be able to not give up 70. And I think that if this team cannot give up 70 a game, they can definitely get to that spot.
I think, too, last year we heard so much about defense, but I felt like ECU did not really commit to – look, I'm sure they practiced it, but commit to their best defensive lineup until the very end of the year when we talked about it with Luigi being the 5. And I don't think Brandon Johnson is the perfect 3, but I feel like when you truly commit to it and if you go Sear at the 5 and you go Ezra and Brandon, that's probably your best defensive and rebounding lineup. It's just can you get enough scoring production with that? That maybe that's what the coaching staff is asking themselves.
And that's the thing when you go through all these lineup combinations, which I honestly think the opening lineup will be Bobby, RJ, Quentin, Brandon, and Ezra.
Yeah.
And Bobby, he's probably not going to give you 10 points a game. RJ hopefully will give you 15 points a game. Quentin, that is the biggest question mark of them all.
Right, he could drop 20 or 3.
And then I think Brandon can give you 15 to 20 a night. And then Ezra, he's another question mark. Yes, he's a great player, but there were games last year where you would watch him play, and I mean he would have 3 points one game, and the next game he would blow up for 20. So it's just a matter of where the scoring is, and I honestly think that just like I've said, if you insert a player like Cam Hayes who is scoring, who can score, I mean if you put Cam Hayes at the 2 and put RJ at the 3, there's easy 12 points, if not more.
Right, and hopefully Cam is eligible to be able to do that. Chuck wants to know what is Cason's predicted number of wins. So we actually did that when the schedule came out. Didn't we go through and make our predictions? What was it, 20?
I put it at 21 and 10.
21 and 10. I think we both had 21 and 10.
So I'll put it at 21 and a half.
21 and a half. And I mean, if you're in Vegas, history tells you to take the under, but I think if this team comes out in the non-conference, with 3 losses or less, they can hit that number. It's just, are they going to be able to win all the games early on? They should win. Are they going to be able to go to George Mason and win? Are they going to be able to beat South Carolina, UNCW at home? How do they play against Florida in Florida? So a lot of interesting non-conference games. KJ Keats says USF is the dark horse. KC also says we're sleeping on USF. Are we sleeping on USF?
I'm dead asleep on South Florida.
Dead asleep on South Florida?
I'm dead asleep on South Florida.
I like their coach. At least they got rid of Brian Gregory.
Yeah, they get rid of Brian Gregory, and they hired the Kennesaw State head coach. And after one good season. So, I mean, we're going to have to see. Even though he did bring the 2-star players of that team to USF. So, I mean, they're both going to be great players there. But they're not better than ECU. I'll just do it.
Yeah, I mean – Kennesaw and the league they play in, making that jump to the American. Obviously, those players are good players, but it's a different league too. So we'll see how they do over the course of a full league. But we'll see. I know that you're not huge on the USF Bulls. So
I never have been.
You'll have to go against your guys there. All right, let's take our final break. We'll come back. We'll take any final questions any players in the chat have that play for the NC State Wolfpack. And we'll also take any ECU fans' questions as well. KJ Keats says take the under on ECU's 20.5 wins. And we'll come back. Chuck wants to know, does 20 wins get ECU into the NIT? We'll talk about that on the other side. This is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
Fifth Street Hardware is the home of the $9 lunch special Tuesday through Fridays. $9 specials every day, including the famous Burger Day on Tuesdays, Flatbread Pizza Wednesday, the famous Fifth Street Hardware Reuben on Thursday, and fried fish or shrimp on Friday. Plus trivia on Wednesday nights and live music every Thursday nights. And the Prime Rib Brunch Buffet has returned on Sundays. You heard that right. The Brunch Buffet with all the great items, including prime rib. Fifth Street Hardware in downtown Greenville.
tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
I'm a big mood. You can't name a lot of things that I didn't do. It's like a paper, like a book, not a Kindle. You outdated, I'm the one they getting into. And I break a sweat. Let's get it. 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 Child, please, I don't need a towel, please.
Are you game day ready? Anson Belt, the official belt of ECU Athletics.
Are you ready for a digital hair color revolution? The Color Master Factory by Chi and LG. A masterpiece of innovation, unlimited color formulations, limitless possibilities. Long-lasting color. Chi.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
We're live with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Hoist the Johnny Roger!
Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, back into our final segment on this Monday. We're talking a lot of ECU basketball. And Casey Romeli, our ECU Hoist the Colors basketball insider, is in studio. He knows a bunch of the NC State basketball players who are in the chat. I heard that Ezra Sarr played in the Pro-Am and crushed it this summer, guys. So my question to you guys for the NC State program is, what do y'all think of Ezra? Any thoughts there? Drop them in the chat as we got a few minutes left. Kaysen, we were also debating, Chuck wants to know, does 20 wins get ECU into the NIT? What do you think about that?
I think 20 wins could, but just like I said to you at the break, is who are you beating for those 20 wins? And I think that if you're in Memphis one time in the regular season and run through the non-conference, and in the AAC tournament, if you beat one of them, I think you got a good shot.
Right. If you have a few marquee wins and finish towards the top of the league, I think probably you're up there. NCAA at large, I think realistically going to be tough with the schedule unless you just dominate like we kind of said a few weeks ago. You really got to run through the schedule and get the marquee wins, beating either one of South Carolina and Florida, beating UNCW. Speaking of that, Chase Graham wants to know, can ECU match up with UNCW, which is coached by Takeo Siddle, former NC State assistant?
Well, first of all, I need to see what UNCW looks like. I have no clue how their off-season went. I honestly am sure.
I think they got pretty much a lot coming back.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. Yeah. If what's his name, White, Tredavion White,
yeah.
He killed us. So, if he's on the floor, it could be bad, but I don't know.
Last year it was a whitewashing, and really it was just one of those things where ECU got behind early, could never recover. They didn't make a three until there was like a minute left in the game.
Yeah,
it was UCW made a lot of threes.
It's also just ECU on the road, so
yeah, ECU's got to overcome that road bugaboo. Jordan Snell also wants to know, what are Casey and Romeli's credentials to talk basketball? Do you have a response to that?
I don't have a response to that.
So you just want to take it?
I'm just going to take that one.
Wow. I expected you to come out with some hot fire there.
No, because I don't want Jordan to get all emotional.
We asked the NC State guys about Ezra. Casey Morcell says, I need to see a little more film. I've heard great things. KJ Keat says, I like Ezra. I'm a fan. And, I think Ezra, big freshman year, there were some reports he was getting pulled by Georgia and Georgia Tech maybe into the transfer portal, ended up staying at ECU for his sophomore year. We talked about it. I think he could be an all-conference guy. R.J. Felton made the all-conference preseason team. Were you surprised we didn't see Ezra or, Brandon Johnson on that list?
Yes, I think if we were going to see anyone on first or second, it was going to be Ezra or Brandon Johnson. I'm not taking nothing away from R.J. Felton.
Right.
He's a good player, but I definitely think that for this team, Ezra is more important than R.J. Felton.
If Ezra can develop, even like we were talking about in the break, last year we talked about the inconsistency. I felt like if he faced the wrong matchup, like a 6'8" guy who's got length who can prevent him from scoring at the rim, he struggles to score a little bit. If he can develop that mid-range jumper, kind of like Jaden Gardner did, and obviously an outside jumper, I think that just widens his whole entire game. So for me, it's if he can become a multi-dimensional player, I think is the key to really ascending to like all-conference status.
Yes, and with the addition of Mark Adams, I think his defense will have a big uptake, which will be huge for him too.
Well, we're looking forward to it. We're 3 weeks away from the non-conference opener, Ferrum College, and we'll see what type of challenge they present. We'll get a little closer. We'll see if we can find out any info on Ferrum, but we're almost there, man. 3 weeks.
Looking forward to it. Football. We need to get football on a running clock right now.
Right, football on a running clock. Basketball season will be here before we know it. Casey, we'll start getting you on pretty much weekly. We'll see if the NC State players can also join weekly as well.
I hope they have practice during the shows.
All right, he is Casey Romeli. Fun hour here. Thanks to Kevin Monroe as well. Thanks to Philip Pilkington for producing today's program. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll go 9:30 for our stream. Do the Mike Houston press conference 12 noon on 94.3 The Game. We'll talk to you then.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
Call AA Hauling 252-946-1227 or AAHauling.com.
R&D Brewing is proud to partner with the ECU Pirates, and now you can enjoy Pirates Brew, the official craft beer of ECU Athletics. Pirates Brew is a carefully curated light beer that embodies the spirit of ECU, a refreshing and easy drinking light beer. Pirates Brew by R&D Brewing is available now at grocery stores, local retailers, and at ECU athletic events.
Head over to your favorite store and enjoy a nice Pirates Brew today, or else you'll walk the plank. Hand me another Pirates Brew. Arr.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast, Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern Living's best small town.
Just because voice-over IP telephones are the latest technology in the telephone world doesn't mean they're the right choice for you and your business. Whether your internet provider is unable to support a voice-over IP phone system, or you don't have a need for high-tech features and simply want to stick with a traditional system, Spain Telecom is here to help. Spain Telecom offers a variety of services to keep your business connected and competitive. We're confident we can find the right phone system for you and your business, a system that addresses all your communication needs. Looking for a new phone system that won't break the bank? In addition to new systems, Spain Telecom also offers gently used systems that are in great shape and can save you money. No matter your needs, Spain Telecom has a solution for you. Whether it's voice over IP, on-premise systems, new or used, give us a call at 252-353-2006 and let Spain Telecom help you with your communications needs.
Hey Pirate Nation, I'm head men's basketball coach Mike Schwartz.
And I'm Kim McNeil, head coach of your defending American Athletic Conference champion women's basketball team.
Basketball season is just around the corner, and we're looking forward to another exciting season on the hardwood.
We need Pirate Nation to Pat Minji's Coliseum by purchasing your season tickets today.
Call 1-800-DIAL-ECU or visit ECUPirates.com to get yours now.
Thanks, and go Pirates!
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
Call AA Hauling 252-946-1227 or AAHauling.com.